you all. I hope all of you are doing great. And welcome to Communicative English class. This video is going to be the part 2 of Three Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome. Okay, let's get started. Before we get into this video, let's have a small recap of what happened in the last video. So we saw that this book, Three Men in a Boat, is a very popular during its time. It was published in the year 1889, and it's a humorous book, and it was very popular during its time. And it was one of the largest sold books during the time, and everybody really loved it. And this particular chapter is chapter 4, where we see that our author, along with his friends Harris and George, they get ready for a trip, and how they prioritize food and the experience that they have in packing the things. So in the previous experience, with the previous experience, they agree not to take oil stove because it leaked and everything smelled of oil, and they decide to take food and stock it, and should not contain any cheese because cheese will give a very strong smell and flavor. And our author was amused to tell the story about how he had actually volunteered, saying that only he knew how to pack things in a better way, and finally how he's left out completely without any help, and he finds he struggles, literally struggles to pack things. And Harris and George had a good time and laughing and mocking at the author. And finally the author is very upset, and he gets irritated, and he says that, okay, let me see how you do the packing. And then he leaves the job to Harris and George. So this is what happened in the previous video. Let's get into today's video. And by the way, I also have the character sketch of the main characters. I will also send it in our Google Classroom for your reference. So they had very tough time packing. Now, what happens is the author, who finds it very difficult to pack without any help, is asking, is leaving, literally leaving Harris and George to pack. The moment they start to pack, they break a cup. The cup is broken. Okay. So what happens is they are also not good in packing. How do I know they're not good in packing? It's because Harris packed the strawberry jam on top of a tomato and squashed it. And they had to literally pick out the tomatoes with a spoon. Mm. And then it was George's turn, and he trod on a butter. So when you trod or when you stamp on a butter, what happens? It slips, you lose your balance. So there's a lot of drama happening around. And Jerome doesn't comment at all. He happily sits at the edge of a table and enjoys watching at the whole scene. Now, when Harris and George, when they observe that Jerome is what our author is watching at them, they get even more nervous and excited, and they start stepping on everything, whatever is being packed, like the and what happens is they step on everything, and they create a mess over things there. And what do is they really don't know how to pack. So initially when you pack, what happen, how should you pack? Is it you have to pack all the heavy things under, and on the top you have to keep all light things. But they what they do is they keep pies at the bottom. Pie can get really squashed, and heavy things were put on top of it. And over that he puts a butter, and he literally creates a mess of a scene. Okay, as if this was not enough, we have another character introduced. Montmorency is their dog, and it's a very notorious one, known for its mischievous behavior. So, what happens is he comes around and he literally squirms in everywhere, particularly the places where he's not invited. He literally has a good time running over and pushing and knocking and walking over the packed things and creating a lot of nuisances around the packing area. And he is described as a perfect nuisance and makes people mad and having things thrown at his head. And then he feels that's when his day is not being wasted. So when he creates a big mess, that's when he thinks, okay, my day is done. To get somebody to stumble over him, because it is not always it's we don't look down at the dogs, right? So he prefers to make somebody stumble over him and curse and steadily for an hour, and that's the highest aim and objective of this naughty dog. Finally, students, the packing was done at 12:50 and Harris sat on the big hamper. You remember the food hamper that they bought? So who sits on it? Harris sits on it. And and then he hopes that nothing would be broken. And George convinces him, it's like, okay, even if it is broken, once it is broken. But this reflection of thought gives him a comfort, and everybody are ready to go to bed because the very next day they have their trip. They definitely need a good day, a night's sleep. By the time they discuss about at what time they have to wake up the next day, so George falls asleep. He's very tired, he sleeps. And you know what happens? Our author and Harris plays a tub right where he could tumble and get into. When the moment he gets out in the morning, that's where he will tumble and fall into a tub. And our author and Harris go to bed and they sleep. So this chapter ends here, and I want all of you to read the story to have a better understanding. If you have any doubt, please do comment. See you in the next video. Bye bye.